All right, we're rolling. This is Freedom Phil, live from the Survival Pod right outside here. Yeah, what are we talking about? You know when people say, you get a job, get a job. I think they're really projecting their own situation because I got to be real about it. Most people work because they have to. I generally work if I'm bored. You know, it's all about life structure. But in our modern society, if one person escapes the plantation, oh, that's just, you can't have that. Like if we're all miserable together, then it just allays the misery. This is like the rules of Nurgle. I'm just being real, and then we all smile together. It's like when people say that line, just living the dream. You're living the reality that you actually need, at least in this country. Where am I going with this? Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. And always turn up the video speed. And why do I say that? Because why not watch videos faster, man? It's just a way to do it. And once again, this is not a channel for children. I swear, I cuss, I say all sorts of things. I am not your digital fucking nanny, And even though I think a lot of people of all different ages could learn something from me, I'm sick and tired of parents trying to farm out their responsibilities to a screen. Let's get into it. Yeah, I notice this tendency with a lot of people where they'll be pointing out, they're like, well, you should get a job. You're living in a van. I'm happy in my van, just like I was happy when I was driving a truck. Ironically, when I'm actually at my house, it's not that I'm unhappy. I'm just not as satisfied as I am out here. I like waking up and looking at just the vast expanse of wasteland. I like waking up and being in the woods, the clear cuts, the wherever, whether it's the sea to shining sea or whatever, even trucking. I like waking up and at a truck stop, sometimes you can smell like the faint odor of a little bit of piss somewhere. And you're like down in Texas. And it's amazing when the flash rains come and it just cleans up the truck stop. I like that. I like the weird, the obscure, the whatever, And because I structure my life to need next to nothing, we're talking $200 to $300 to live per month, and I'm happy. And that's all that matters. And then people say, well, what about the future? Man, most people, when they talk that line of shit, that's bull. Most people talking about what about the future, they don't have a clue. They don't have one fucking clue whatsoever. They talk about the future when really they're just buying shit to fucking impress the people around them. Okay, that's your life. If it makes you happy, go with it. I mean, even though you're probably sabotaging a bunch of things on the side. But this idea that we all have to go onto the plantation together, like if one slave escapes, the rest of the slaves get pissed off. That's the mentality you run into. Kind of like with religious people. Like we can't allow anybody to not think like we do. I'm not stopping anybody from doing what I'm doing, just like they're not stopping me from doing what they're doing. But I just have, I see people, the reasons they work. Overpriced house, overpriced car, overpriced clothes, overpriced lifestyle, overpriced everything, and all to impress a bunch of people that probably don't really care about you. If you want to work for that, more power to you. It's your life, the waste. Enjoy wasting it. But me, on the other hand, my outlook is, hey, if I can live off $3,000 to $5,000 a year, and I'm comfortable with that, I got my Airwave TV. I've got my Nintendo Switch. I got a refrigerator freezer that I had in there. Runs off solar. Got radio stations, TV. I got the things that I want. And I don't really feel like there's any need for much more. So if you really get down to it, I mean, sure, work. Maybe when I go back to working, I'll take my money and I'll invest it. So it'll be making me even more money than I'm making right now. And there's a paradox to me. I don't bum change necessarily because I totally need it. I just love bumming change. It's like fishing for me. In the same way that I like driving truck for that. I like doing it. That's the irony. Like when you like doing something, but you've been out of the industry for a little while. And they're like, well, you don't have any recent experience. Well, fuck, what changed? It's just a gatekeeping reason so they can pay you less. But I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's really funny and ironic when I look at most of the people that are yelling for you to work. And like the old people, they need you to work. They do. A lot of those boomers, they grew up in the greatest era to ever exist. They didn't save a dime towards retirement. They didn't. Their greatest asset they have is their house, and it's not really an asset if it's not really making you any money. It's just something that's storing wealth. The best thing some of those boomers could do is sell their overpriced houses to the next generation and go out and buy a cheaper place in the Midwest or something, and then take the rest and invest it in something that'll actually make them money. But they're not going to do that. Their plan is, well, why don't more of the young people just go work harder? Work 2 or 3 jobs because I need my Social Security. That's why people want you to work. There's some welfare recipient out there right now, for good or bad, however you want to look at it. And they need you to go back to work. That's really it. And every time someone becomes as free as I am, and more people start looking around and going, wait a minute, I could do that. That's bad for the system. That's bad for GDP. It's good for the individual, but bad for GDP, bad for the system. But the system is bad for you. And so that's one of those things where, like, when people are all about, like, you need to get a job, you need to work, you need to do this. You need to work because of your spending habits and the way you do it. I'm fine. In fact, I'm better than fine. But honestly, when you really get down to it, it used to be, and actually it was never truly this way, that you were truly rewarded somewhat. Like there was a little more respect to people for their contribution. And what I learned in the years I was a garbage man, and that's how I paid off the house that I choose not to live in because I have no interest in being there. And then when I drove truck for years, that's how I made vast improvements in my life. But I found there's an irony that I actually get treated better by society as a bum than I do as a working man. And that's kind of a mental mind fuck. You really got to put that in perspective. That as a bum, I live better, get treated better than someone that actually contributes. The way they treat contributing people is like you had nothing better to do with your life. And the other thing that I've noticed is there's always this like hurdle. Like you jump the hurdle, then they throw another hurdle in front of you. They jump the hurdle, you'd put a higher hurdle, because they want to see eventually the hurdle turns into a fucking wall. What they want to see is a good, hardworking man go face first into the fucking wall. And one day you're just like, why am I in this race? If I don't enjoy the game I'm playing, I change the game. And that's exactly what I did. As I've said a million times before, retirement by 30 in America is absolutely possible. And look, I'm an extreme example. I'm talking, you have a house, you have a normal life, and your money's making you money. And there's nobody, I'm not selling any product. I've said it a million times. Live cheap when you're young, as cheap as possible, and invest when you're young. Compound interest makes you money. It's not investing advice, that's called common sense. But it's all the people who never do that shit that scream the most that you need to go to work. It's all the people that need you to go to work. And even sometimes it's psychological. Like you're not even costing them anything and not giving you anything, but they wasted their life doing some shit that they didn't want to do for ages. And then they're looking around going, well, did I waste my life? And if all of us are on the same plantation, same prison planet, factory bullshit, if we're all in that same fucking canoe of shit, that somehow makes it make sense. I don't know. No, if you want to know what I was talking about, you can just go back and watch the video after I upload it. So I'll just read a few of the things here. Okay, let's see. "29, own my own home. My parents never owned anything." Yeah, exactly. I paid off my first house when I was 31. I bought it when I was 25. I just barely turned 31. I wanted to pay it off before 30, but I was out partying with my friends a bit more than I should have been. You know, that's a tough lesson I had too, where one of the lessons was eventually I realized that most of my friends were just a fucking waste of time. They're good people, but you know, focusing on yourself, much like, you know, like a lot of times chasing after women when you're young is just a waste of your time in your life. It really is. Like improving yourself and investing when you're young, that is the master strategy. Because at the end of the day, when the car fails or, you know, you end up injured or something, most people that were on your side disappear until you have money again. And it's just like, well, then if that's really the loyalty that you have from most people, it's best to focus on yourself, and then effectively you reap the benefits, whatever. And I if I could go back in time, I would have never bought my house. Previous generation, ancient Rome, the current one, medieval Europe. Yeah, I'd argue we are in the golden age, just nobody realizes it. I mean, you look at like antiquity, for instance, back during the Greek Roman age, and there were some incredible things they did back then. But even back then, you know, like my theory is that people are miserable no matter how good it is, how good or bad it is. It's just, God damn it, I have to get up and do something. That's pretty much it. Well, you could, yeah, the system, you could argue it's working as intended. Microtransactions definitely are killing bank accounts. Yeah, I don't know about that. You know, one could say, you know, buying stupid shit on a regular basis. Yeah, okay. I think it's the mind. It's kind of like the mind that kills the body for the most part. You know, it's the mind and the hormones that enslave the individual. They're not being treated better or worse than someone who takes responsibility of themselves. That's recognition. Hey, man, if what I'm saying doesn't relate to you, there's all these other channels you could be watching. You know, nobody's forcing you to be here. And yeah, just watch the video as far as what am I talking about. But oh, I'm in the wasteland. Anyhow, I'm gonna upload this, and I'm gonna drink some more coffee, take the dog for a walk or do something. Peace.